So for the past year, we have been running the 5-Star Hobbies breakout chassis. We've thrown every ESC motor at it that we can think of. We've had great times with our friends. We've posted great times on the track, but now you know we are moving on. R1 sent me the DC1 car. We've been running that a little bit, got it repaired, ready to go to run tonight. Cannot wait for that. But in order to provide you guys and be like the authority YouTuber or whatever on NPRC products, I have to run other stuff. So that's why we're going to be doing Apollo build. I mean, the Apollo is literally like the most famous chassis or second most famous, whatever side you're on. And as we've seen the electronics programs and how well they all perform kind of level out, the chassis are becoming more and more important. Now, Dustin at 5-7 Designs, Team Gfrp, he's been building cars for years. The Apollo is a true race car. It is built to not withstand crashes. You know, there's a lot of things to think about when you own an Apollo. You have to think about the repair cost, the cost to own it, lots of different things like that. We'll start talking about some in this video. So I was hoping to have it actually done a lot sooner than it has been, but versus putting the kit all the way together, waiting on things, you know, they've had the floating body mount come out, now the 2023 conversion, and you need small shocks. Stuff is added up, and it's cost a lot of money, that is for sure. But I want to provide you guys with as much accurate information as possible. A lot of my friends run Apollos around me as well. They all don't run DC1s, so I can't get truly faster when I'm kind of on an island by myself. The community for the Apollo is just enormous. R1 is working very hard to build out the DC1 community. You know, that's been the biggest conversations that I've had with Steve. You know, they're not a car company. Gfrp is. So hopefully all of us together can bring a lot more to the table and close that gap between us Joes and the pros. And that's the entire plan over the next couple months. So we're going to throw different electronics packages at both of these cars, whatever it takes, and see, you know, just have fun with both of them. Don't really want to make this a one is better than the other. They both have great things. They both have things that I dislike. That's the way life is. If I can mash the both of them together, probably still wouldn't be a perfect car for myself or maybe some of you guys out there. Let's get started on this. My name is Chad. This is the Dorky M40 RC channel. We're going to make you faster today. So welcome back to the channel, guys, and we have been working on the Apollo car here for a few days. I've actually had this kit for quite a while, and it's been sitting on the shelf. Once they released their floating body mount kit and everything a couple weeks ago, I picked that up, decided that we would probably start building it out a little bit piece by piece. Then I see they come out with the 2023 conversion kit that's actually going on sale this week. So it's pretty good timing because, you know, there's a lot of interest in the Apollo. There's a lot of Team Gfrp drivers. I am literally in the middle of Gfrp country here in Ohio. Dustin is like 100 miles away in Indiana. So we know the chassis works. I'm not here to sell you, review it, or anything else like that. I want to take it, test it, put all kinds of different gear in it, and try it out. So the first thing you're going to see here on the table is you're going to see a lot of the tools that you're going to need to build this car. Some of these tools, of course, you may already have, like calipers and everything else, but I bet you do not have this. This is a 1/16 or 3/16 driver. Yes, the Apollo car uses SAE, standard American hardware, and it's horrible. I absolutely hate it. Every single RC car or mini quad or everything that I have ever built has always used metric hardware. I've got hundreds and hundreds of metric screws, and I bet you do too, laying all over the place. This is all SAE hardware. So keep that in mind. So you're going to have to buy tools, and whether you want to buy good tools, bad tools, that's up to you. I ended up getting some MIP wrenches just because I don't want to strip these screws out and all that kind of stuff, because there's, you know, some problem areas on this car where if you strip a screw out, you are going to be in big doo-doo real quick. But while we're talking about the hardware thing, so I've actually got an order on McMastercard that I'm working on here, you know, and each one of these is pretty much like 100 of these in a bag, except where you get to the aluminum stuff here, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. But, you know, if you look on 57 Designs website, you know, they sell hardware, but they don't have like a true hardware pack, you know, and you're paying $5 for 6 screws, $7 for 10 screws. Pretty adds up pretty pricey if you want extra hardware for this. Now, if you're lucky enough to have a halfway decent hardware shop, which I believe mine locally here really are, they were completely out of most of the 440 and the hardware that I needed. So you might be able to source these locally. If not, you can go on to McMaster-Carr, as I said, and get as much hardware as you're ever going to need. So that's about $50 in hardware, another $60, $70 in tools. Keep that in mind when we start talking about the price. And I mean, we don't really need to even go to the website and actually look at the actual car. But, you know, the whole thing is that the car kit right now is about $680. The floating body mount kit's $125. You're going to want the forward mounted servo bumper. So you're looking at another $65. And if you want some extra goodies and stuff, whatever, you are at $1,000, if not over. And that's if, you know, maybe you don't add any goodies compared to the DC1 right now, which is $700. And you're not going to be paying that much for hardware. You can go onto Amazon for $20 and get an M3 hardware kit that has all the links that we need. And we barely, you know, button head, flathead, you can find all that stuff. And that is a very, very sad thing when it comes to owning this car, because I do like some things about the car itself. Now, that 2023 conversion kit actually just came out last night, and if you want to get the most and run that, then you're also going to need to order the medium, small, short shocks that go in the back. So that's another $75, and I saw they have a 2023 motor plate. So if you are thinking about buying an Apollo, you might want to wait until they convert all this stuff over. Just a little FYI. But let's get on with the video here as well. Now, one big thing, my kit, whoever packed it must have been drunk. I understand if you miss a piece, if you miss 2 pieces or 3, but I literally was missing about 7 to 8 different pieces out of multiple bags. Sure, they sent them to me and they replaced them and everything else, but my time is valuable and I know yours is as well. So big shout to any manufacturers. Do the QA checks, check everything's out. I had a nice checklist with my 5-star kit where people signed off on every little thing that was put into each bag in the kit. I think it might need to go to that. You know, there's definitely not a worse way to ruin your day if you used 8 hours of vacation because you wanted to get away from the wife and the kids and everything else and build your RC car, and then you couldn't build the damn thing because you're missing all these pieces. But I digress. Now, a lot of people will defend that. And I get it. They make it right. They give you the stuff. But I see it time after time after time after time on this GFRP Apollo owners Facebook group. And people stick up for them. And I'm not like yelling at them here. I kind of am. But, you know, it's not very cool when that happens. I got my parts. So it's all good. So they got these really nice manuals, and you know, this one I think was updated in December, and when you buy the car, you get a link to the manual here. I think you might even be able to like add it to your cart and buy and register an account and actually look at it. This one was made in December, it says, and it's a good manual. Most of the parts match up. I know there's a little bit of differences that they've changed, like spring colors and like my toe blocks are different and everything like that. Some things that are in the manual that just don't make sense. Like it would be nice to have a little bit breakdown of the actual hardware, since, you know, most of us are used to metric. No, I'm complaining about this again, but I'm looking out for the average person. So trying to figure out, you know, what size of a nut goes on a 440 screw, or, you know, whatever, just things like that. Got the manual here for the floating body mount as well. I haven't started putting that together yet, but I do like this floating body mount, I have to say, better than the R1. And the biggest reason why is the rear end is actually high and goes up across the actual wheels. And I've noticed with my body mounting, I don't have as many body mounting locations on the actual R1 car with their directed body mounts. And that's, you know, you kind of want that stuff spread out. And I noticed the far out holes that I had when I actually put my Corvette body on literally are in the creases of the window. And it was the same way on the Mach 22 body. So what I actually had to do was like drill new holes and bring the body posts in and put those up through the back windshield. Not the most ideal situation because you do want those body posts out as far as you can get. So thumbs up to Gfrp for thinking through that and giving that with the actual mount here. So got that going on. And yeah, I mean, the manual's great. It's definitely going to help a lot of people. And the biggest thing next to that manual, of course, I said earlier, is going to be the community. You could put a question out to the Facebook group and you're going to get a lot of people that are going to answer things. You know, even Dustin's going to answer stuff. So you could take everything that people say with a grain of salt, because we all know that a lot of people are in this for the competitive aspect, winning the money and everything else like that. But I think in general, most people want everybody to be successful because it's only going to help push and grow the hobby forward. We just don't want 10 people that are out there kicking everybody's asses every race, and then everybody's just going to end up quitting. So we all need to go faster, and that's why I'm doing all this stuff. Now, when it comes to comparing like replacement parts on the Apollo to the actual DC-1, there's things that are cheaper with the DC-1. There's things that are cheaper with the Apollo. You know, for example, full ready to go transmission is like $160 from Team Gfrp. The metal transmission that they make for my 5-star is like almost $300. Shock prices and stuff like that were wildly different, but you know, replacement parts for the DC-1, since they are injection molded, are a lot cheaper than carbon fiber type of parts. And the other thing that I also have noticed is, as I've bought all of these different retrofit pieces and kits and everything else, I'm starting to get a massive collection of things that I will never ever use. You know, we hear Mark Vine and other people talk about running the stock Apollo. Well, what is a stock Apollo? I've seen just a post today that says, yeah, I'm running a stock Apollo with the 2023 conversion. That's not a stock Apollo, dude. Like, that's just not. So that's why I want to like tell you guys to be completely transparent about everything that we're going to be running on this one, just so you could be 100% sure. And again, I've got friends that are running different versions of the car and different packages, power, springs, shocks, whatever. So we'll have a lot of information there for it. And then of course, we're going to keep on kicking with the DC-1, and hopefully we're going to kick some ass with it tonight and win some money. So just a few actual things to think about for results. I don't want to show you the build or anything at all. I mean, it's right here. And I definitely love the way everything is going together. It's a very, very, very beautifully made. We know that there's some weak points on the car, like the front bumper and stuff like that. Those are pretty much disposable. You want to replace the front screws up here with like aluminum or maybe even nylon, so that way you don't break that corner chassis piece right there in the front, because then you're going to be out a chassis. I've seen shock towers break, like crazy, even though this is pretty decently thick carbon. I've also heard a lot of people say that their Apollos run beautifully out of the box for like the first 50 hits, and then they start just like going to shit. And maybe some of that has to do with like the countersunk holes and 3mm chassis. I wasn't a big fan of that when it came to the actual 5-star car, and the holes just whittled out because there's less carbon fiber. But, if you take a quick look there on the back side and you see those top two holes there, like there's not much carbon fiber there on the back to protect that. And that's probably like where a wheelie bar goes. I mean, those countersunks are literally a millimeter, if not less, from the back of the chassis. Now we know the 2023 conversion is going to have a different chassis. It's going to be narrower, I think, and then wider. So we'll have to look at that and see what happens when it gets here. But this is as far as it's going to go right now. I'm not going to build up anything else except for things that I know directly will transfer over with the 2023. We're going to have to pull the dog bones out and everything else and rebuild all that stuff. Shocks, everything, you know, it's pretty much was a waste of a few hours. But again, that's what it is. But that's all I got to talk to you guys about today. Hopefully you find this interesting and have learned something, and you're going to see a lot more in the future with both of these cars, and we'll see what they can do. We'll talk to you guys later. Peace.